So, I mean, like, I think maybe the safest choice would be to start to economize and really, really push drone production because you know that's what he's going to want to do.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, don't want to use his banelings on Zerglings, but it happens. And now he has to pull all of his Hydras back because, see, look at that. Wow.
That's cool. So yeah, so do you think you're gonna be able to take out his Hydra second time, or is those Hydras that are left enough to kill your roaches?
No, those are enough. Hydras are very good. You know, I'm just right now just trying to bide time, really.
Yeah.
Just make sure he doesn't build up anything. And this is where Hydras are much better than roaches, just in mass, like, you know.
Yeah.
But still, like with upgrade, I don't know. I'm still very split on how.
I just worry about how many larvae you're spending on units now instead of drones, because do you worry that it's going to give him the chance to catch up? I feel like now you should be making mostly drones right now.
Yeah, I'll be doing that for you, honey.
Thanks, baby. Cool. Because that's the biggest fear that I have with a build like this, is just falling too far behind.
Yeah.
Where you can keep making units and pressuring him, but as long as he hangs on, there comes a point where you're going to fall behind economically. And as long as you're making drones, you won't, which is good. That's a good thing, because you don't want to fall behind.
I never want to fall behind. Who wants to fall behind?
Only self-destructive people and losers.
And those are dangerous people to be around.
You don't want to be around them. They make you fall behind too.
They do. In life. Like people who, you know, you've learned about that in Dare.
Yeah. People who drink too much coffee.
Yeah.
Specifically, and other types of addicts. I just finished my third 24-ounce Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee today. I'm wired, guys.
Ray's been nervous. I'm sorry, Negative's been nervous for a long time. For like 2 years with the coffee, I think.
What you guys can't see is my knee has been shaking ever since we started casting and hasn't stopped. I don't expect it to stop anytime soon.
It's kind of been shaking for longer than that.
Yeah.
Longer than just today.
Yeah. I have to whenever I'm not casting Starcraft, I either have to be shaking or pacing. If I'm not doing one of those, I get really uncomfortable.
No, I don't want the mailings to pop.
Anyways, he's actually doing a good job of forcing you to sacrifice your banelings on his Zerglings.
Yeah, that's, you know, a dangerous place for me because it's just not worth the commitment.
But you know what? I mean, and nothing against your own skill level, but I really love the possibilities for banelings with like superb micro control of like a pro once they really are used to their fullest extent. I think that the accuracy that they're capable of, it's going to be so amazing to see. Like I one of my favorite old replays from Brood War is the time that Boxer used blind. I think that medics had ability to blind a unit.
Okay.
And he blinded like 8 observers simultaneously, and then moved in with his wraiths to kill all the carriers of the Protoss player, and just like having the ability to individually click each medic's ability onto each observer with this after using a sensor scan. It was just awesome to watch. And like I imagine a point when Zergs are able to right click each individual baneling onto one individual Hydralisk, and like, oh god, it would wreck.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was like future reminiscing.
Yeah, that was nice. You're very good. Now he's got. I have a lot of roaches.
I think you're okay at this point.
Yeah.
It was very tight for a while, and I wasn't sure maybe if you were falling behind economically. But I think now you've taken out his workers at his natural enough.
Yeah, and this is gonna be GG right here. Yeah. Unless he has a hidden expo, I don't know.
I was just actually thinking that like the best thing he could have done at this point would have been to get a hidden expo somewhere on the map.
Yeah, but again,
do you think those were meant to be spine crawlers and he just freaked out? Because it doesn't make sense that he would build.
Maybe he was afraid I was going to go back to mutes, because a lot of times I think Zerg and Zerg players in general like to transition back into what they
started with.
Yeah, because it just mixes it up, you know. But he has too many Hydras on the map for me ever to be able to transition back to mutes.
Yeah,
but that's part of these builds, is that you take control of the game.
Yeah, I do think that I do like this. I like you. Even more than the fast mutes, I like the transition that keeps pressure on. I think that the possibility to transition either into banelings or roaches and the flexibility between the banelings and roaches is really the important part about this build, because you do need that mid game follow up, because you are weak mid game, and being able to do that while you economize and really know where to spend your larva, whether it be on roaches and banelings for the follow up or on drones in order to keep economy up. I think that's where this build has potential.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying before with, like it's a one base mute build, which normally everyone thinks of again as all in. It's more all in because the queen's being delayed, so larva production is just shot.
Yeah.
Beforehand, you have 20 drones before the mutes come out, and you're suffering then to build. Whereas the opponent could have 30 drones, have a fully saturated base. But again, just with the nature of it, there's so many places you can go. You could still pop your 7 mutes out and have 300 minerals and expand right away, and just hope and make sure you use your Mutalist to every advantage to make sure he doesn't push out and get your expansion running up, and maybe kill his if he's gone for it. Right. There's just a lot of ways you can go into it, and again, taking control of the game. Like, that's why I like this build, because you take control of the game, you dictate what's going to happen, and this is a situation where he played right into what I wanted him to do.
Yeah, both of the games were perfect from that point of view. Is that your build worked well with what your opponent was doing?
Exactly, and so every time I've done that build before against Zerg, I want him to go Hydra. This game I was a little screwed up, because it's like, oh, I forgot Banelings. You forget to think it out, but the things that I found this build is weak against is early pressure, and if you fear early pressure, you could still work that build into a morphed version of itself of put down 1 to 3 spine crawlers, depending on how much pressure is coming at you. And for each spine crawler, you sacrifice a mute, but still 5 mutes in the back of his base.
That early
really while good. You're holding off with spine crawlers is still a great...
It's especially still good when you think about the purpose of the mutes is just... The purpose of the mutes is like a transition. You're transitioning from mid-game aggressively without being economically oriented into a mid-game where you can continue to be aggressive off of 1 base or 2 bases then. And you're just following the wave of aggression forward to victory. Right?
Yeah, essentially.
So if you can have 7 mutes, that's great. But if you can have 5, if you have some early pressure,
that's
you
fine
still use them for the exact same purpose.
Exactly.
It's not even so much about the number of mutes. Obviously, 7 is better than 5. But it's about it's not how big you are, it's how well you use it.
Yeah, well, that's also a weakness I found in watching a lot of people's replays where they do builds that have that similar all-in tactic, even like Terran with Reapers off the bat. A lot of silver players, sometimes low gold, they don't understand that even if the Reapers can't do any damage, the fact that their presence is on the map is what is going to win them the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll be like, oh, I have 7 Reapers, and now I'm going to try to kill stuff. Oh, there's stuff there, so I'm going to throw them away.
Right.
And it's like, no, you need the mobility. You need to be like, you can't push out. I can expand. I mean, really, essentially...
The best use of Reapers that I've seen, to lead right from your point, is when I've had them use against me to buy time to keep me on my base by the Terran so he can get tanks out.
Yeah, exactly. And... I don't know, this build I find so far too, it's more difficult. It's easier to win on the 2-base macro build, but I find it more fun this way. It's like more of a struggle in some ways.
It does seem like it's something that's fun, and it's a change up. One thing I do want to note as a final note before we linger on too long is that so for those of you who want to try this out, I would not use this on... I would be more inclined to use this on 4-player maps than on 2-player maps, because the possibility of getting pressured on 2-player maps is a little bit higher.
Yeah, like heavy early pressure will destroy this build.
Also, I would probably try something else against Protoss. It seems like this is most effective against Terran and Zergs.
It is. It works against Protoss if you can ensure that once they go to Stalkers, like you want them to go to Stalkers, but you have to ensure that you have Speedlings out and you need to take care of those Stalkers early.
Yeah, but it seems like even with well, we can agree to disagree, because it feels like even with Speedlings out, once they've gone to Stalkers, it's so easy for the Protoss to have enough Zealots quickly to stop your Zerglings anyway.
I have the most trouble against Protoss. Usually with this build, I have to kind of go all in on the mutes against Protoss, where I've even, like, you'll even see me sometimes doing things like putting down 2 spires. Yeah. Like the 7 mutes will pop out, and I'll use the next money I have to put down a second spire. and my expansion, and just start going double upgrades on Spire, just to like, because that's the kind of situation where you almost need to win early.
Yeah.
That's more of the all-in situation.
But anyways, yeah. So strongest on four-player maps and on against Terran and Zerg, but definitely usable on 2-player maps and against Protoss.
Yeah.
Also,
I hope you guys enjoyed. And again, it's just just experiment. And if you have builds you're experimenting with,
send them to us. We'd love to. If we see something that's awesome and looks like it works, in like a 1v1 kind of situation or on the ladder, and it's creative, we'll totally feature it. So send us your games and GG.
GG.